And now to discuss envisioning our climate futures, please welcome Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, co-founder of Urban Ocean Lab and author of What If We Get It Right, with Atlantic Live contributor Christina Ruffini.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Dr. Johnson, I think we're just going to get right in there, if that works for you.
Yeah.
All right, first of all, as someone who really cares about this issue, even I sometimes find myself hearing environmental news and tuning it out because I get a little bit bummed out sometimes. It feels so overwhelming. But your book is called What If We Get This Right? Is there a reason you wanted to strike that optimistic tone right off the bat? And are you hopeful that we can actually do that?
Well, first, I think it's important to say the title ends with a question mark, right? Like, we could get it right. But honestly, I feel a little awkward following that last panel talking about how great natural gas is as part of our energy mix when we actually need to transition off of fossil fuels this decade in our energy. This is what all the scientists are saying, right? You can't use carbon capture to keep burning natural gas. We might be able to use it to take some excess out of the atmosphere, but that's just not part of the solutions we need, and it's not actually the cheapest form of energy anymore, which is really exciting.
So what are the big
Solar
parts?
is the cheapest form of energy on the planet. You can capture photons from the sun to power our homes. You have wind energy expanding super quickly. In Iowa and Texas are the largest suppliers of wind energy in the country, right? This is no longer the kind of thing where it's only, blue states caring about this. These are really good jobs. This is a really profitable industry. So I just feel really compelled to say, we're in this transition. It's happening because the economics favor renewables, right? Because you don't need a huge infrastructure of pipelines and all of this stuff, extraction from the ground, fracking, polluting drinking water, causing mini earthquakes, all of that. We don't need to do that anymore. It's just a matter of how long the transition's gonna take. So my optimism, such that it is actually minimized by having to be in this situation of correcting the record at a festival like this, going back to back. So I think this is not what I had anticipated walking into, but that's the reason for being excited, right? We already have the solutions we need. We have the technologies we need. We actually don't need to wait for fusion or anything else, right? Not only do we have the electricity solutions, we have a lot of the transportation solutions. I would love to see high-speed rail in the United States. We're just really slow on things, right? We know how to be much more efficient with energy, so it's actually not true that we need a lot more. There are ways we can be more energy efficient. We know how to transition our agriculture to be more sustainable. We know how to deal with protecting and restoring ecosystems and the magic of photosynthesis, right? It's not a big secret how to do it. It's just that there are some entrenched interests who have old business models that are very profitable, who are reluctant to change. And we have so much lobbying money from the fossil fuel industry and politics, right? That's preventing us from getting the policy frameworks changed so that we can go ahead and make this energy transition. So getting it right really is about we have the solutions that we need. It's just a matter of how many people can we welcome into doing that work and how quickly can we get it done.
Because you say half-assed action in the face of potential doom is an indisputably absurd choice, especially given that we already have most of the climate solutions we need. So how do we whole-ass this? How do we get it going faster? Is it political?
I don't know. Maybe we need some curatorial injections in conferences so that we're talking about climate solutions more, because I feel like so much of what we see and hear is we hear about the apocalypse. We hear about climate disasters. And all of this is, of course, there's really bad stuff happening, right? The flooding, the fires, the droughts,
as a journalist,
the famines,
I've covered
right?
all of them. I've been in waders, I've been in fires. It seems like that's most of the coverage we were doing at networks. Yeah.
This is for sure happening, the sea level rise, the storms. I think it's really important to never sugarcoat the risks. I'm very clear on the risks. But if all we talk about are the downsides, then we can't actually get people excited to work on the solutions. And so what I'm always trying to do is offer people a welcome. Like, we need you, right? There's all of this opportunity. There's a lot of money to be made, to be honest, in this transition from a fossil fuel-based economy to a regenerative one. And there's this, like, I think, lack of understanding that it's not anymore just like engineers, scientists, and politicians, right? It's people in every sector, in every town, figuring out what this new world looks like. And without expressions in culture of what getting it right looks like, if we just implemented the solutions we have, what kind of world would we get? And so this book is actually my attempt to answer that question, but in a sort of like, show me it's worth the effort way. Because people are like, it's hard and change is, I'm not sure how I feel about change. I'm pretty comfortable right now. I'm like, well, how much longer are we really going to be comfortable if we just sort of like meander away from the brink instead of running full tilt towards solutions? And I think that's been a real gap in our public discourse, is like showing people that the future is actually great if we get it together. Like, if our homes are less drafty, if we have electric transport. I mean, 9 million people die every year just because of the air pollution associated with fossil fuels, let alone the greenhouse gas impacts, right? We're talking about 13 million Americans who are going to have to move because of sea level rise alone in the next few decades, right? It's not going to get any better if we just try to hold on to the status quo.
You talk about, on that note, that people need to approach it a little bit differently than they've been taught to, than these conventional ways. You know, don't use plastic straws, voting, donating, those are all good. You know, fewer private jets, which in my case is definitely a choice that I'm making, and not access to rich people in my life. I'm doing that for the environment. You're welcome, everyone. So can you explain this climate Venn diagram concept and where you think the more traditional methods are falling a little bit short?
Yeah, so actually,
I mean, we love a Venn diagram.
I love a Venn diagram. So 3 circles. The first one is just, what are you good at? What are your skills, your resources, your networks? Like, what can you specifically bring to the table? And that's different for everyone, right? If you and I were doing the same thing in honor of climate solutions, that would be a waste of at least one of our skills. And I think that's really important, because when people think about climate solutions, they really do just think about, like, vote, protest, donate, spread the word, lower your individual carbon footprint. And the bad news is that if all of us just focus on ourselves and not how we can contribute to change in our communities, in our jobs, as citizens, then we're just not going to get as far as we need to go.
But I feel like that has been the messaging, at least as a kid who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. It was all about the individual, what the individual could do, and it was a very micro approach.
Well, do we all know who invented the term carbon footprint? BP. It was Ogilvy PR company as a PR campaign for BP to put the blame on us as individuals so that they would not have to reduce their carbon footprint, right? Like, we've been bamboozled. I don't know how else to tell you.
Captain Planet lied
to
me,
the whole,
guys.
like, we're cooking with gas thing, like, that is a common phrase. That was, Johnny Carson was paid by a gas company to say that on TV, and now, however many decades later, we're still saying this, right? So I feel like I'm only just now becoming aware of the ways in which the language of marketing fossil fuels has influenced me. But carbon footprint is a useful thing to think about. Yeah. But we should apply it to corporations and not just individuals, right? And so I think the opportunity is to go beyond this, like, generic list of things we can and all should do, right? Like, I care very much about voting for candidates who get it on climate. And I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna encourage other people to do that, right? I'm partnering with Environmental Voter Project and Lead Locally to make sure environmentalists co-vote, because we know there's over 8 million people who are already registered and already have environment as their #1 issue who did not vote in the 2020 election. And we know how close these things are, right? I mean, 40% of Americans don't vote. So it's like, not like environmentalists are particularly bad, but if we want to elect people who get it on climate, like, we have to show up at the polls, right? And so I think the opportunity is going beyond individuals, this is clearly like a systems change problem, and thinking, what are our superpowers? Like, what can I do that no one else could do, that I can contribute? Like, I don't know anything about supply chains, but if there's anyone out here who can like decarbonize the supply chain, like we need that. If you are an event planner, we need that. If you are a web designer, we need that too, right? We need train conductors, like all of these things. We need solar installers, we need electricians, right? We are like millions of electricians short of being able to do this energy transition. And I will say something important that I agree on the previous speaker with is that we definitely need to invest in improving our transmission infrastructure for energy, because we can't actually bring all the solar and wind online and get it onto the grid as fast as we need to, because our grid is so out of date. So anyway, first circle is what are you good at? So really think about that. And the second is what work needs doing, right? So what are the climate and justice solutions you want to be a part of? And there are hundreds of them. I'd recommend people look at an organization called Project Drawdown, which does quantitative analysis on the impact of various climate solutions at drawdown.org to just see kind of the world of what's out there. And also think about politics and culture as the main levers for change for how quickly we can implement all those solutions. And then the third one is what brings you joy. And this is going to sound like a weird sort of Marie Kondo kind of thing, maybe, but these sources of satisfaction and delight, because honestly, we're never going to solve the climate crisis in our lifetimes. This is something that we have to dedicate, ourselves to for generations. So if you pick something that you're really good at but makes you miserable, you're just going to be cranky and no one's going to want to join your team, and then we won't get there. Or you'll burn out, which is something that's really common. So one example of this in my life is I co-founded a policy think tank, Urban Ocean Lab, focused on the future of coastal cities. How are they adapting to climate? How are they dealing with sea level rise? Because I have a PhD in marine biology. I've done a lot of work in policy, right? I'm a girl from Brooklyn who's really concerned about the future of coastal cities. Yes, shout out to Brooklyn. And coastal cities aren't ready. And this absolutely is a justice issue. Like, who doesn't have the resources to relocate or adapt, right? And what brings me joy is changing laws. Like, I love to change the rules of the game. I love creative communication. I love the people I get to collaborate with. And so I co-lead a dorky policy think tank, which is not everyone's jam. And that's totally fine. I'm doing it so you don't have to.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about politics, because this is Washington and it is an election year and it is all consuming. You talked about it a little bit, but when it comes to the environment, do you think the language is changing a little bit and it is not such a partisan issue, or is that still a big divide to overcome? Because I think about the fact that, money makes things change, right? So if clean energy is cheaper, is profitable, do you think that will change the calculation with where we see these lines being drawn?
I think there's a big difference between agreeing on the problem and wanting the money that comes from investing in the solutions.
Fair enough.
And so I don't actually think the Republican Party is any closer to acknowledging the scientific facts of climate change today than it was a few years ago. The number of climate science deniers in Congress is astounding to me, especially when climate is impacting their constituents on a daily basis.
In states like Florida, where you're actually seeing it, and cities are making policies, but then the state as a whole is not.
I mean, Florida was like, you can't use the term climate change, as if pretending it doesn't exist is going to make it go away, right?
I mean, I've done that with several ex-boyfriends.
We all have. But I'm just going to say the stakes are slightly lower with our dating history.
This is fair. This is a fair point.
And so I think that it's the thing that I find most frustrating about the political polarization around climate change is, one, it is affecting all of us, right? We are seeing the kind of flooding in the Midwest and storms and droughts that are decimating agriculture and really hurting farmers, right? We're seeing the way it's impacting the South.
I grew up out west. Colorado wildfires are just like we've never seen. I mean, we used to see one once every 10 years, and now it seems every year there's a new one. Yeah.
The impacts are nonpartisan.
Yeah.
right? It's coming for all of us. It's just a matter of when, right? Even wealthy people have no way to really insulate themselves from the effects of climate change, because even in your bunker, like, someone's gonna need to bring you snacks, and where are they gonna come from, right?
The private jet they wouldn't let me fly on.
And so I think the challenge is, and the thing that I find the most frustrating, is that there are so many Republicans in Congress who are just pretending to be climate deniers. They actually know that it's happening, and it's just politically untenable for them to admit it, because then they'll lose votes, because this sort of MAGA climate denial messaging is so strong that going against that is a political risk for them. And that is just gutting, because it's reckless disregard for the safety of your constituents. And it wasn't actually that long ago that Democrats and Republicans were collaborating on climate, right? You had, Newt Gingrich and Nancy Pelosi doing ads for climate policy together. This is like a thing that has become polarized only very recently. But I will say the sort of like cause for hope, I guess, is that everyone wants the benefits that go along with, for example, the Inflation Reduction Act. So you have, I hate having to talk about this as a political issue, because it should just be we work on solutions together, and the question is which solutions, not do we want to try. But you have the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the largest investment in climate solutions, not only in US history, but in world history. We're talking $370 billion in one bill. That's put towards retrofitting our homes, that's put towards developing industry for like battery technology and renewables. We have $400 billion in loans going out from the Department of Energy Loan Program Office to support renewables development in the US. And this has led to hundreds and hundreds of clean energy projects just in the 2 years since it's been passed. Over 170,000 clean energy jobs have been put into place, and most of those are in red states. Those are battery manufacturing in the South, right, and in the center of the country. There's a lot of those jobs. And so now you're seeing that these places where all of their politicians voted against the Inflation Reduction Act are extremely happy to take credit for these new jobs in their communities. And so my whatever hopefulness I have on this issue politically comes from the fact that we can basically agree on the solutions, even if we can't at all agree that extracting and burning fossil fuels leads to greenhouse gases, which blanket the planet and make it hotter and disrupt all of our weather patterns. We can't agree on the simple science of it, but everyone wants the jobs, everyone wants the economic and societal benefits of clean air and clean water, et cetera. So I personally don't ever debate climate deniers. I don't think I'm the right messenger for that, and I don't have the patience or interest in it. I'm focused on like the 70+% of Americans who are really concerned about climate change and would like our government to do more, and helping them find ways to become a part of those solutions.
On that note, you
God,
end.
I'm really fired up today, you guys. I thought this was gonna be mellow. Like, I wrote a book. Like, I interviewed a lot of my friends.
But
who are really
passion
smart.
is like the point of the book, right? So we would expect nothing less.
There's a lot of like sweet poetry in this book, and like a mixtape. It's not like angry or anything.
There's also, you do a lot of interviews with a lot of different experts, and you go through and annotate it with little stars and hearts and underline, which the OCD part of me just loved.
But I became the art director for the book because I was like, I have a very specific creative vision.
Have a vision. But you do end with what you call the new Hippocratic Oath. And can you explain what that is, and maybe give us a little bit of it in our last couple minutes here?
So there are 20 interviews in this book because I came up with this title, What If We Get It Right? Visions of Climate Futures. And I was like, damn, that's a good title. But also, how could I possibly meet the promise of that title as an individual? This is clearly something that requires collective wisdom, and me just quoting all the smart people about it I thought would be really boring, so I just interviewed them and heavily abridged the transcribed interviews. So it's very much like, you're eavesdropping on a dinner table conversation with me and my nerdiest, coolest climate friends. But about 6 of them mentioned the Hippocratic Oath, or this phrase, do no harm, right? This oath that was designed for medical doctors to take in ancient Greece. And if you go back and read the original text, it's hilarious.
It's not what we think it is.
It's not what you think it is. It's like you can never charge your medical teacher for healing your family members ever. There's like really specific stuff in there. Anyway.
But why did you want this to be part of climate change?
This came up in the context of we need an oath for how we want to show up professionally in the context of our climate crisis. And I was looking around to see if it existed, and I couldn't find it. So a friend and I wrote it together. And it's just basically like our version of a commitment to what would it look like if we said our commitment to getting it right, as in an oath form. And so it's quite short. Should I just read it?
Yeah, or at least, read some of it.
A little bit.
Before I read it.
First, move from I to we. We will expand our sense of interdependence. We will rein in our sense of individualism. We will ask, what should we do together? Survival is collective. Our fates are intertwined. Second, do no harm. We will restore and heal, not pollute and deplete. We will regenerate ecosystems and our own resolve. We will live lightly as part of the earth. Accountability, generosity, and sweetness. Third, less is more. We will expand our creativity and contract our consumerism. We will conserve and distinguish between needing and wanting. We will be gentle with our own imperfections and others. There is such a thing as enough. Basta. Possibility exists. This is a world of our making. We can remake it, remix it, restore it, rebalance it. The path of least resistance is only one of many paths. I will be part of getting it right. We will be part of getting it right.
Dr. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone, Dr. Johnson will be doing a book signing immediately after this at Politics and Prose on the Wharf, and her book will be available for purchase there and anywhere that you buy books. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.